podcast where three bearded film fans, well, two plus me, watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Condor with a K, and I'm joined by my regular co-hosts, Mr.
Ben Errington.
And Mr.
Andy Conduit Turner. Hello, guys.
Central Park. Yeah, good, man. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Been up
You've
to...
You've still got a bit of a beard left, Luke.
Have I?
Yeah,
It's like this. It's like a grade 1, grade 2. I don't know. I can't.
I think it counts.
It's a
Definitely
very youthful look. You look butter boy.
I do look a lot younger. Not sure if it's a good thing. Butter boy.
You're gonna get ID'd for buying Red Bull and razor blades at the local Sainsbury's.
I remember because you get ID'd more now. You're wearing masks in shops. I got ID'd for some beer or something, and I just pulled the mask down, and they went, "Oh, okay."
oh, your Jesus! They just went, Jesus. Haunted eyes. They just looked at your haunted eyes. They went, "Oh, he's seen some shit."
Yeah.
He's opened the Lost Ark. Jesus.
Yeah. I accidentally shaved my beard, but it'll grow back. The good. Maybe I just want to
grow back.
Unlike my head, like I need reassurance that something will grow back. So every now and again, I like to take the beard off and watch something grow.
Yeah.
What would you do if it's swapped?
Oh.
Like you shaved your beard off and then that stayed, but then your hair grew instead at that time.
I don't know actually. I don't know what I prefer because I know me as a bald man with a slight beard is my identity. That's how I introduce myself to people these days. I have to change everything about me if I grow hair.
Yeah. Some people make the beard their personality, don't they? They go, oh, I've got a load of beard oils in, and
if you have more than one type of beard oil, you need to reassess your life.
I'm pretty sure I've only got one, and I only use it for special occasions, really.
Yeah, I do like nice
Queen.
beard.
What was that?
But...
Meeting the Queen.
Meeting the Queen, yeah. I'll do that.
I do like nice beards, but I always felt like beards were for lazy people. That's like because you don't want to shave all the time and don't want to like prim and preen or whatever. And now the fashionable people have taken beards.
Yeah, but sometimes beards are a bit more.
My granddad's got a beard now. My granddad has not gone like without a day without shaving for like 50 years. Now he's got a beard. So what does this mean now? Does this mean I have to start shaving?
What, to be punk? To be punk rock, you need...
Yeah.
To be
if people zig, I need to zag.
Well, do whatever you got to do, man. You're halfway there now. Just give yourself a nice razor clean shave.
I couldn't do it. Couldn't do
Wearing shoes on your hands, that type of...
Yeah.
Shoes on your hands.
Living my life in a handstand.
Shall we mention the t-shirts that we're all currently wearing?
Speaking of being on trend, yeah.
So if you're listening to the podcast feed, I'll describe it. All three of us received a secret package it's a t-shirt. Well, it says 90s terror film across the top, and along the bottom it says featuring Frank. I can't read it upside down. What's his name again?
Frank Welker.
Welker,
that's the one. And then in the middle it has the Dunstan checks in poster.
And as we mentioned before, the print quality is lovely. The fit's lovely. And the fact that I've now got a poster of 90s classic Dunstan checks in on a t-shirt is pretty much everything I've always wanted. So thank you.
There's so many questions that you can't answer in a normal conversation.
Yeah,
you can't. There's too much to go into. Yeah. So Ben Scaife, listener, sent them in. Thanks very much, Ben. It's very much appreciated.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah. So if you listen to our episode two episodes ago now on Congo, when we were discussing Congo's horror movie qualities, we just Googled monkey horror films and Dunstan checks in was on the list. So I think it's forever been ingrained in our memories now as definitely a horror film.
Yeah.
And as you pointed out, Ben, like Dunstan does inadvertently cause that masseuse to be sexually assaulted by that woman. So if not horror,
then what is?
Yeah.
Exactly. This is like what if I'm like out getting a coffee or something and someone's going to see it and they want to ask me questions. You know when guys like go on a stag do and they continue wearing the t-shirt like for months later and it's just got
the wedding has dissolved.
It's got a really niche in joke on it and you're like, oh, can I get away with wearing this? Could wear it to the gym, but people might ask me questions. But
I think that if we go out, it's just a fantastic way to trick new subscribers. So you just come like, oh, what's that all about then? Tell you what, Maybe if we get a if anyone can make us a badge with a QR code that we can put on this that links to the thing, they'll say, "Well, I'll tell you what, point your camera at that, mate. Subscribe."
You have a t-shirt with just a big QR code on it. Every time you accidentally get snapped by someone's phone, you're in the background, they're instantly going to go to the website link.
Just make yourself a nuisance, like in big, busy, built-up areas. Yeah, just in the background of all the photos. Disneyland or something.
All the CCTV operators will be subscribed to the podcast feed.
Yeah, because it can get boring just operating CCTV. You need someone to listen to.
Yeah, tell you what, guys, Golden Age. If this takes off, copyright, we invented it. If Google steal this, you owe me £1 billion.
1 billion. Sounds fair. Sounds absolutely fair to me.
So we called out Vladimir Putin last week. Google today.
Yeah, who's next? No one's off of our radar. We'll take them all on. All the big guys, all the big guns.
So horror podcast. What's the news? Eh? What's the horror news on the circuit?
A couple of big things this week. So we saw. Did we discuss? We didn't discuss Resident Evil Showcase last week, did we? No,
it was just before.
We talked about it.
It was just before.
Amongst us.
I feel like I've spoken about it with you guys already, so I was a bit confused then. So yeah, last week we saw the Resident Evil Showcase, which showed more stuff from the new game Resident Evil Village. Also some stuff with like a multiplayer mode and the Netflix animated movie as well. But obviously the big news was that we got a release date for Resident Evil Village, the 7th of May. We got the news that there's going to be a PS4 version and Xbox. I can't remember, the Xbox Series X is the new one, right?
Is the new one, yeah. And then Xbox, and then Xbox One. Sorry, Granddad.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, Granddad. I was gonna say, I sound like a granddad, but at the same time, just unfortunately never had an Xbox, so I apologise. Andy, you can brush me up on that.
Just call it the Xbox. So I do.
I was trying to say it's coming out on the old Xbox as well. So yeah, this was obviously initially announced as just being a next generation game. So to find out it's a current gen one as well, then that's pretty cool. And then there was a demo called Maiden that went online, which is like it's not from the game. It's kind of just something to show off the RE engine and the new areas and stuff.
Have you played it, Ben, or did you just watch?
No, so couldn't play it because it was on PS5 only, and unfortunately not a PS5 owner just yet. But I did watch some guys play it and some regular streamers that I usually watch, and just to see how it looked. And yeah, it looks lovely. And there's a lovely money shot bit at the end as well, just like there was in the Resident Evil 7 demo as well. So
from what I saw of that demo, it didn't seem as effective as the demo for Resident Evil 7.
No,
like it didn't seem anywhere near as spooky.
It felt a little bit like they just plonked you in an area of the game, kind of removed all the enemies, and gave you some basic puzzle stuff. Whereas with Resident Evil 7, the beginning hour, is that what it was called? Beginning hour. It was very immersive. Obviously, introduced quite a lot of
the characters with you as well, didn't you?
Yeah, so it was kind of like you were this Haunted House TV crew. So yeah, this one doesn't feel, but maybe there was pressure to get a demo out there, considering it's being released in May, and a lot of people expected there to be a demo, so maybe it was rushed out. I don't know. It still looks amazing, like the RE engine stuff, especially in an area like this. I think it just thrives because the areas look a bit more like on the original build for Resident Evil 4 before they scrapped it and started on a new one with these sort of really glamorous looking interiors.
Do you reckon that's why it's less scary for us? Because it's because obviously as Europeans, that's what all the houses are like anyway.
Yeah,
just all live in these ancient castles. But are you, Ben? Like, sorry, I don't know why I'm singling you out. Yeah, are you like the rest of the internet thirsty for tall vampire ladies now?
I mean, I think you got to be. I didn't realize she was as tall as that until
I just thought it was the camera angle.
Yeah, that's what I thought initially. I thought the camera angle. She's not that tall, but now I'm like, well, 8 foot tall, busty Freddy Krueger hand vampire lady and her minions. Very
She's got
exciting.
a lovely telephone manner as well. Lovely.
What? Yeah, lovely telephone manner, definitely. But from the
lovely
telephone
Boobs.
And lovely boobs. And she's got a lovely hat as well. She looks
Yeah.
all ready for Ladies' Day.
Fashion
I think she'll be
icon.
like a Mr. X sort of
I
a
don't
Mrs.
know.
X.
Yeah,
Because
she's
I
on
just
the phone
imagine
to
her.
someone else as well, isn't she? Like it.
You know when she
So
like
it might
goes
be a
through the
big
doors.
boss.
I imagine
There's
that'd
a
be
bit of a
super
duck through.
creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like, I mean, if you're into giantism, you know, some people like the thought of giant women walking around destroying the city. Similar to Godzilla versus Kong, I guess. But if you're into that, this game has got you down. If you're a fan of these games and you like that, you're like, oh god,
Yeah.
Jesus. I said if, like it's.
To be
not
fair
one.
though, Ben, I think we're all gravitating towards Big Vampire Lady, and I'm very much excited for the game. But of all the things, I think with certainly the recent games, you tend to gravitate towards the villains of the piece versus compelling player character Ethan that we had from the last one.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost like they've just made him like such a blank slate, nothing character. It's almost like they've done that on purpose, isn't it? Obviously to add to the first person value of the game to make the player, I guess, feel more like they're actually embodying that character. But yeah, bit bland. We've got a merchant now.
They could do a Chris Redfield and change his model every game, and we wouldn't even notice.
No one would question it. No one would say, "Hang on a minute, Chris Redfield, he's free."
Like in 7, there's a bit where we're Mia looking at him, and his face is kind of just out of shot or just obscured or something. Since when we got the back of his head or something like that.
I think that's what they did most of the time. It's kind of in shadow or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said just then, there's a merchant as well. So they've obviously brought back the merchant character. Yeah, I mean, it looks great. It's weird how these games can kind of like transfer, like you can never really tell what time period is set in. I mean, the last game, it was clearly like modern day, but this one you're a bit like, well, it must still be modern day, but where the hell are they?
Europe.
Bloody Europe, which everyone's 50 years behind in Europe, 100 years behind. I suppose Resident Evil 4 was similar in that sense.
It's just the town I grew up in. It's sunny Tamworth. That's the castle.
Tamworth can get pretty rough near the bowling alley.
Resident Evil Tamworth.
near that bowling alley. If you walk into the Xenon on a Friday night,
yeah,
you got to be careful. The random encounters.
8-foot tall vampire ladies. You haven't met any 8-foot tall vampire ladies in Tamworth, then?
Did she psyched me right in the knee and
then scored 300 in the bowling alley?
Oh Jesus, is that a euphemism? Who knows? Who knows? Could be. Yeah, so that was obviously nice. And then what was the other stuff on top of Resident Evil Village we saw? So like that reverse multiplayer. So they've given it a sort of Borderlands style graphics overhaul. I mean, I'm sure it'd be fun for a little while, but I wouldn't be rushing to get hold of that, to be fair.
I say I'm interested, but I hate online multiplayer because I'm over 30 now and children are better at it at me, so I hate it.
All right, Grandad.
Yeah.
Well, that Resident Evil Resistance was like okay, but I kind of lost after a handful of games. I was a bit like, oh well, I've kind of got all I need out of that. It's the single player Resident Evil stuff that I really want. Multiplayer stuff just doesn't really suit the franchise for me. Not too much. Mercenaries was all right, you know, with not as a multiplayer mode, but like as an extra
yeah,
mode.
Like a cheeky little horde mode. To be fair, I like the idea that it's got everything in it and all the characters and all the baddies from the whole series. But for me, quite happily, you could just put a fake little Shenmue toy vending machine in there, and they could just get little 3D models of them all to look at and put on an imaginary shelf and go, oh, that's nice, isn't it?
That's
all the joy of the collection that doesn't take up the space in your house. That's nice. Little sticker album.
Sounds perfect. Yeah, so what else has there been? Obviously, we got the trailer for Godzilla vs. Kong released on Sunday. Did you guys watch the trailer? Did you avoid it?
I watched it. I don't think it's a film you could spoil, though, right? That they're going to have a fight.
Yeah, I don't think it's a film you could. But yeah, so obviously, how do you feel about the possibility of? Well, first of all, how do you feel about what they seem to be setting up as the story? Godzilla is being portrayed as potentially the bad guy, but maybe because he's being mind controlled, or coerced into doing something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge Godzilla person of like the original films, but I saw some people saying it was actually Mecha Godzilla. I'm not too sure how.
I've first time Mechagodzilla comes into the old films, I think they disguise him as a regular Godzilla, and only when he gets beaten up does it turn out he's got a really cool metal underneath. Maybe that's a Mechagodzilla.
Imagine that seems. I mean, this film seems pretty crazy anyway. And I've not seen The King of the Monsters, but that seems ludicrous.
I rewatched King of the Monsters a couple of days ago just because I fancied it. I'm gonna probably rewatch Kong Skull Island as well. I mean, the monster fights are great, but a lot of the stuff surrounding it is just so naff, and some of the decisions that characters make, you're just like, oh god, shut up.
Skull Island, I actually genuinely enjoy quite a bit.
Yeah.
I like monster movies and I like Godzilla films, but the people stuff, I don't think any of the new ones. I liked King of the Monsters, the human stuff in that more than the previous Godzilla. And Luke's right, I liked it in Skull Island as well, but it can be hit and miss. What I hope is that these series carry on long enough so my favourite can turn up. And if you talk about things getting ridiculous, Luke, you want to see, if you ever watch Godzilla versus Megalon and encounter my favourite robot, Jet Jaguar, who can, and I'm quoting from the dubbed version there, when Godzilla's getting like ganged up on by two bad monsters, so Jet Jaguar, the robot, programs himself to grow, and he becomes massive. He becomes Godzilla size, so he can tag team with Godzilla. Time. If you look at Jet Jaguar, can you say no to that face?
He looks badass.
His little face there. Jack Nicholson's face.
I like some of the fan art. Yeah. It's really cool.
So, God, what else was I going to say? Can't remember. So, yeah, I mean, it looks good. Monsters fighting is always lovely. Kong's bloody massive now. At the end of King of the Monsters, I don't know if there's bigger spoilers. Do you remember the end credit sequence at the King of the Monsters?
Has Charles Dance got Ghidorah's missing head, or just all of them?
Got a Ghidorah head, and I've read now that Ghidorah's head could be key to how Mechagodzilla comes to life. Put a Ghidorah head in a Mechagodzilla body, and it's good to go.
Wang that together.
1990s Godzilla.
Bish bash bosh, you got a Mechagodzilla.
You got a Mechagodzilla
at some point.
Yeah.
But he comes from the future.
And also, it does look like King Kong's got an axe where we've made out of one of Godzilla's dorsal plates, right? Which is.
That's what it's made of.
I think so, because I think I saw a picture of the toy as well, and it looks like that, and it was glowing, same color as his old atomic breath.
This is. I mean, it sounds more and more ridiculous the more you talk about it. I want to watch it, but
I'm gonna watch
I think in the trailer there was like some rap music came on during the battle. A bit Terminator, not Terminator, bit Transformers even. Okay. The sort of CG scraps sort of stuff going on. But I'll watch it. I'm up for it.
There looks to be some flashback stuff, like Kong when he's inside what's that part of this island called, where it's like a different. I can't remember but it looks like he's fighting a giant snake and then something else. It's pretty sick.
Oh, yeah, I'll go and see it. This is one that I'm a little bit sad if we won't get to see at the cinema, at least in the UK because I think Godzilla films and things like this, they're good cinema films. Mm-hmm. They're big. Yeah, definitely. It's a shame, but we'll still get to see it.
Maybe that's something we should do on this podcast at some point. Some old school Godzilla. I think actually one of you guys said Shin Godzilla right at some point.
Shin Godzilla, I've still not got around to seeing it yet. I've bought it, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch it because I think a Godzilla movie is a hard sell for my wife. But it's apparently it's great. I've heard really good things about it, and I think there are some animated follow-ups on Netflix as well that come after it.
Yeah.
But I'd like to do Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, we can add that to the list. Do you think that's the best one to do for like a horror podcast?
It's like either that or the original. Maybe we could do a double if we've got a double watching us. Do the original Godzilla and then Shin Godzilla.
Exciting stuff. Can be done. There are a couple of bits of news about films getting pushed back again. It's getting to the point now we're just like, oh Jesus Christ, films are going to be coming out which were made like 2 years before, which is going to be odd because especially with something like Ghostbusters, all the kids are going to be young and then they're going to be doing all the interviews and they're going to be grown up. It's going to be very strange. But a couple of films. So Quiet Place has been pushed back to September, I believe, and then the Guillermo del Toro produced Antlers has been pushed back to February 2021. No, from February 2021 to October 2021. just get it out there, isn't it now? Like especially a film.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to Antlers. I think it was written by Nick Antosca, who's the showrunner of the Channel Zero TV show.
Oh, nice.
That's sick.
He had a bizarro horror novel out called Night of the Obese or something like that, which is really good, really fun. Yeah, he's a good writer, so I'm quite excited about that.
Yeah,
I have to wait till February 2021, I guess.
Yeah, you will. God, no, sorry, Luke. October. Oh no.
I'm just not paying attention to dates until things are just actually out at this point, because everything's going to keep moving. Is the Candyman's currently still September, right?
Possibly. I don't want to commit either way to that because I'm not 100% sure. But
you could say any date then,
right?
because at some point it would have been a thing. Yeah.
2023 March.
Could be
March the 3rd. Yeah. Sounds right. That's pretty much all I've got for news. Yeah, that's it. That was it. Has anybody watched anything lovely?
Well, me and you, Ben, were on another podcast to talk about to bring our expertise to the subject of The Thing, the movie The Thing, which we did. That be on the Valkyries podcast on their YouTube channel and all that. I think we'll link to that. When they told me when it's going to be out, but
I think it's out this Friday.
This Friday. Okay, cool.
So that will be the 29th. Yeah, 29th.
Cool.
So yeah, we'll link to that on our socials and stuff when that goes out.
Yeah. Did you both watch it again in preparation?
Yeah, and it just gets better every time. It's unbelievable how much it improves with every watch. You kind of pick up new things. You sort of enjoy certain aspects a little bit more. It's a solid film.
It was nice to be able to watch that, I guess, and then watch the movie we're discussing today, because obviously it's just 5 years later. So it's pretty cool to watch how John Carpenter's style has evolved since then. I did watch the prequel for The Thing as well, the 2011 prequel, because we mentioned that when we were discussing the Valkyries podcast, and you know what? It's not all that bad. I mean, I not a patch.
I think it's one of those that, if you say, is this the same as The Thing, then it's going to come off poorly. But if you compare it to a lot of other releases, I think it holds up reasonably well. It's been a couple of years since I've seen it, but I don't remember disliking it at all.
There's some good scenes. When that guy shoves his cheek into the other guy and they melt together.
Yeah,
that's a good little scene.
Good.
That. Yeah.
And the bit where the lady tempts him off to maybe have a bit of a snog in the kitchen, and then her body tries to eat him with a big old gob, and she chases him.
Yeah, it's cool. I like it.
Beats wise, it's very similar to the original, where it does a test, but instead of the blood test with the hot wire, it does have you got any fillings in your teeth? Open your mouth. You haven't. You're an alien.
I haven't got any fillings in my teeth.
No, me neither. Be screwed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty good, and Mary Elizabeth Winstead is awesome as well, and it sort of blends seamlessly with the beginning. So the ending of that film seamlessly tags on to the start of the original, which is nice.
I was mildly blown away when I saw that the first time.
Yeah, it got to the point where I was like, surely it won't, because there's no one left, right?
Yeah.
But it does work. So yeah, that's quite impressive.
So after watching that, if you watch Prince of Darkness, the third in the Apocalypse trilogy, John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy, is the Mouth of Madness one.
Yeah. Mind
of Madness. So maybe we should.
In the Mouth of Madness.
In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah. So we can add. I think we've got
your mind in the Mouth of Madness.
Your mind is in the Mouth of Madness right now. Sam Neill's in it. We should do that next month then. Well, you say next month. We could maybe even do it next episode or one episode. We've got down what we want to do, so we'll add that to the list.
Yeah. Cool. What about you, Andy? You got anything?
Oddly enough, the only other horror thing I've watched is in preparation to also record with the Valkyries gang. I'm recording with them as your episode goes live, so I'm on with them on recording this Friday night to talk about American Werewolf in London.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Classic.
Very, very
I'll
nice.
bring my inverted commas expertise to that one.
I did watch a couple of the bits. I rewatched Dread because I couldn't sleep the other night, and it was on Netflix. And I thought I'd just put the first 10 minutes on, then I'll go to sleep. But that's a film you can't stop once it starts.
Yeah.
Once they're inside the building and they're locked in, that's it. And it's just, I just want more of that universe, more of that film. It just seems to capture some kind of part of Dread and Mega City so well. I want an Anderson spin-off film. I want it all. I want to see them go to the cursed earth.
Yeah, it's a
Do you
great
want to take some
movie.
slow-mo?
The slow-mo stuff, like the music when they take the slow-mo drug. I never saw it in 3D, unfortunately, which I think is meant to be experienced in 3D. The slow-mo stuff. So they take this drug, everything slows down to, they say, like a percent of its normal speed, and then the music swells, so the colors get like really vibrant. It's got that annihilation shimmer kind of thing going on, or the glimmer, can't really call it. Yeah, it's just it's got a real RoboCop vibe to it, which I mean is hard to escape with it being RoboCop is a bit of a rip-off of Judge Dredd, but I don't know, it fits, it fills a hole in me that I would like to be filled more often, please.
I really like Dread. We watched it a couple of months ago at a friend's house. And just a casual have a movie night. Like
Yeah.
when we were between lockdowns, you go and sit in people's gardens. He had a projector in his garden, so we sat and ate crisps and watched Dread. It was great. Such a fun
Yeah,
movie that you can just sit and enjoy. You're right. Like you could put it on for 10 minutes and then it just like the time is gone and it's like very little dead time in it at all.
yeah.
It's on Netflix as well now, isn't it? I
It
saw
is,
on
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, I watched it not so long ago as well. Always a good time.
One more thing that I did watch that that was pleasantly surprised was a film called Love and Monsters. So I told you about a film called Spontaneous, written and directed by a guy called Brian Duffield. Brian Duffield also wrote Underwater. The I couldn't say Kristen Wiig, not Kristen Wiig, the other one,
Kristen Stewart.
Kristen Stewart fighting Cthulhu. And then he wrote this one as well. It's called Love and Monsters. It's kind of a YA post-apoc monster movie. It's really fun. Its premise is there's a meteor that came out to Earth, and anything that's cold-blooded mutated and grew. So you've got like giant crabs, giant slugs, giant toads, and all this kind of stuff. And people die quite brutally. It's munched by ants and that kind of thing. So it's about a guy who tries to get across this post-apocalyptic wasteland to go and find this girlfriend. And that's kind of it, but it's really fun. It's really zippy. Just kind of a really cool casual film to put on.
Great.
Yeah, that's
Sounds
pretty
good.
cool.
And the monster
did you see that?
designs are great. I VPN'd. I did the old VPN
Okay.
trick to...
Oh, the old VPN trick.
Yeah.
Michael Rooker's in it as well, looks like.
He's great in it as well. Yeah.
Oh,
Sick.
nice.
Anything else
to check that
at all,
out.
guys?
The other thing, and I guess this is more related to you guys' other podcast, The Old Other Stories, and its strangeness. I watched Palm Springs.
Oh, yeah.
And I know it's a comedy film, and I almost, the same way it was recommended to me, it's almost good if you don't know anything about it and what it's about before you watch it. Just know that it's a fun comedy, and it's got but it's not a straight thing. It's got some surreal sort of sci-fi weirdness to it, and it's a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've heard good things. I haven't got round to it yet. I did watch one other thing, which was a movie called Spree, with Joe Keery as like a kind of Uber driver who's obsessed with going viral, growing his social media following. So yeah, you can imagine the kind of things he wants to do to go viral, and it was pretty cool. I liked it.
Doing a dab.
He's doing a dab. He just does a dab, and then another dab, and then his name. So it's Joe Keery from Stranger Things. Who's he playing Stranger Things? The guy with the nice hair. Steve. That's it. Steve. He was an asshole in series 1, and then by series 2 and 3, one of the best characters. So yeah, I quite liked it. It was like a bit of a light-hearted version of Nightcrawler. It reminded me. His character was clearly channeling a bit of Jake Gyllenhaal's character in Nightcrawler. So it's still quite sinister, but Joe Keery was great. I wasn't too impressed by a lot of the supporting cast, so I think it suffered a bit. But Screen Life movies looks like they're here to stay, and yeah, I'm pretty fine with that.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Yeah, definitely worth it. That's on Netflix as well at the moment, so definitely worth checking out if you've got 90 minutes to spare.
I'd give that a go.
Blessed.
And that's that.
Yeah, but then that for me it was Prince of Darkness.
There we go, Prince of Darkness. So, Prince of Darkness is a 1987 American supernatural horror film directed, written, and scored by John Carpenter. He does it all. Starring Donald Pleasence, Victor Wong, Jameson Parker, and Lisa Blount. The film is the second installment in which Carpenter calls his Apocalypse trilogy, which began with The Thing, which obviously the three of us have covered on this podcast before, long old time ago. Concludes with In the Mouth of Madness, which I guess we will be doing at some point in the future. A group of graduate students and scientists uncover an ancient canister in an abandoned church. It's just WD-40, though. It's fine. No, it's not. It contains something terrifying.
The secret of the ooze that they're trying to solve.
Inadvertently unleash a strange liquid and an evil force on all humanity. Not really on all humanity, just Alice Cooper and his mates.
Yeah. So the ratings, IMDb's got it at 6.7, 58% on Rotten Tomatoes for the critics, 60 for the audience. Letterboxd is at 3.5. A couple of choice reviews. Cody, just the other day, wrote, quite possibly the coolest horror movie ever made. Isn't even fair, really. Why doesn't anybody talk about this one? John Carpenter is the prince of making awesome movies. 5 stars. And Boom the Hedgehog wrote, boring AF, half a star.
Well,
Half a star.
Well, Cody, we're here to talk about it for you today. So, not no one. If you amend that review and say, at least these three are doing it.
List us by name, all right? It's all three of us.
If you could put a link in there as well, that'd be good.
I've got a QR code in there. And honestly, I have to agree. Like, I never saw this one until like a year ago or something like that. It's not one that really gets talked about. I don't think it's as catchy. It's not got quite a catchy idea compared to a lot of the other John Carpenter films. Like just a tub of toxic waste. Like what's the catch? Alice Cooper, I guess. It doesn't seem to have the same. I don't know. Visually striking. Yeah.
Yeah. Go on, Andy.
There's some great visual elements to it, which I guess we'll come to. But do you reckon because those visual elements are all quite backloaded, so maybe people don't get that far? Yeah,
if they there's a certain image at the very end of the film with the mirror stuff that I think that would have been really interesting to see more of, or if they kind of, because there's a certain monster that it kind of blue balls you a little bit. I think it would be nice to lean into that and maybe get an image of that, whop that on the poster. Although it does have the woman with her skin falling off, but who hasn't seen a woman with their skin falling off?
Yeah,
in this day and age,
that's after you've had a bit of sunburn, you know. Oh bloody hell, my skin's peeling.
Get some aloe.
It looks like a pizza. Maybe they should have got the shot of like someone, when you eat like a cheddar or like a biscuit or a crisp and like a bit of spit. I don't know what happens, but like there's like a air pocket in your tongue or something, and as you sort of like readjust your mouth, it's a little jet of water squirts out of your mouth. You know what I mean? Does that only happen to me?
Maybe it just happens to you. Yeah.
No, sometimes
you've got like
sometimes
you've got a tiny gap. Have you got a tiny gap between any of your teeth?
It comes from like the tongue against the roof of the mouth. I think I remember googling around for this, and like it's I don't know what happened. I think there's like an air pocket, and as it squeezes shut, like a little.
I googled around for this. It was a quiet
little jet of spittle, and then like it normally hits someone, and you sort of have to hope they don't notice that you spat on them.
Yeah. There's no way to avoid that.
If it's in this film, they would have their mouth wide open as you did it, and would almost certainly be possessed.
Gleeking. That's what it's called. The projection of saliva from the sublingual gland upon compression by the tongue.
You're just like a Dilophosaurus from Jurassic Park, Luke. Just squirting your poison into
this isn't
Dennis
just
Nedry's face.
Me. This isn't just me.
Gleeked.
I'm not a mutant.
Was it called Gleeked? Oddly
Gleeking.
Gleeked.
Yeah.
John Carpenter
Oh.
went into a room and went, right, this new film is going to be all about gleeking, all right? And they're like, what? And he's like, don't worry about it. We'll
No,
get
then he
Luke
did
Congo
it
there
to them
explain it.
in the face.
And then he did
like
it to
that.
them anyway. That is
And then
pretty
they were
horrible.
possessed and agreed to do the film.
Yeah.
Sign me up, John.
It's especially if you've had I don't know why, but cheddars. There's something about cheddars, mini cheddars,
Jeds.
that make your tongue prone to gleeking.
I'm not trying to get a sponsorship deal from them or anything, but if you do want to sponsor us, Monster Munch, do get in touch. But Monster Munch, I think, is that really gets the saliva going.
Yeah.
When you think of that pickled onion Monster Munch, I mean,
Ugh.
if anyone listening has
I hate pickled
mumps
onion.
now and have heard me said Monster Munch, so I'm sorry for the terrible agony I put you through. We should probably put a warning at the top, Luke, that if you've got mumps this episode, don't listen to it because people are going to munch and Monster Munch.
That's a tongue twister. Don't mention Monster Munch. Don't mention Monster Munch if you've got mumps, because you'll. Don't be mentioning Monster Munch if you've got mumps, mate.
I couldn't keep up with like the words that were like rhyming and slipping over each other. You were like inventing a tongue twister on the fly. It was
Yeah,
amazing.
you were. I like it. It's good. It's a bit niche. I don't think I've seen this film before, but I've seen a lot of the visuals of it and like little clips and stuff. I've seen Alice Cooper in it before he's going. But I feel like this film does the same as what the characters do. It like gets confused as like, is this about science? Is this about religion? I don't really know. No one really knows. Does the priest even really know?
It's about aliens. I didn't
He
get
seems
that.
quite confused, doesn't he? I'm with you, Ben. I think as it came through, for me, and maybe because not a particularly religious person, I think it really started to hit for me as the sort of the sort of sci-fi angle grew as it came through. And it actually mashed those two things together, because I think at the beginning of the film, they are presented as very polar opposites. There's like a religious side and the science side. But as those two elements of the story sort of come together, it makes for some really interesting moments.
It almost felt like the film was trying to make the people who believed in science doubt that by saying, look, here's all the evidence for this. But I don't know if it really went far enough with it. For me, it was kind of like everyone was kind of just a bit confused. Is it this? Is it that? Donald Pleasence seemed like a sort of negated force in it. He didn't seem that.
Well, he so after reading the Bible, he goes, "Oh yeah, religion's a crock of shit. Like we're like terrible salespeople." So he instantly kind of renounces his religion. But then on the flip side, Mr. Miyagi also kind of says, "Science, we don't know everything." So it does they do kind of come to the middle. It does also say that God is an alien from like Saturn or something like that. And Jesus is, I don't know. Maybe it said like Satan was an alien. I can't remember.
So Satan is the secret of the ooze, and then he has a dad who is the anti-god.
Anti-god, yeah.
So is his
God's from
dad
Jupiter?
Yeah. And did we?
It's just a mate of his who's really anti-god.
Yeah.
I bloody hate God. Get down here and help me out with these possessed guys then.
Get in the mirror then, mate. If you're gonna be anti-god, get in there and then do not appear on screen until the Power Rangers movie, I guess, when Ivan Ooze does make his glorious arrival.
Yeah.
But,
Ivan Ooze is definitely the
watch that
anti-god.
Yeah.
he's in that mirror, mate. He's waiting.
He's definitely in the mirror.
Looking at his
I
watch.
just felt it was just a bit like confused. This film. It felt like it was confused, and it was therefore confusing me, and I didn't realize what whether I was supposed to have a big epiphany about something, or a certain character was going to be key to everything. I don't know. And not enough Alice Cooper. As soon as Alice Cooper was involved, I was like, hell yeah, let's see what happens with this guy, what he's going to do. But nothing.
Bikes are full. But we'll come to that.
Yeah, but that's pretty much it, isn't it? Just how are you going to do? Bite one person?
Cast Donald Pleasence as priest. Who there's a few of these people who are in this film. John Carpenter specifically wrote the parts for. So Donald Pleasence as priest. Victor Wong, who is Mr. Miyagi. I don't think he's done a huge amount of other stuff. Has
he's
he?
not, you've got your
Have I
you've
got
got
him
your
mixed up?
martial arts teachers mixed up. He is the
Have I really?
granddad
Guy from
of
Three
the Three
Ninjas.
Ninjas. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
He's their granddad, and he's also the guy who owns the shop in Tremors.
This is the big.
And he's also in Big Trouble in Little China, right? That's what I recognised him from. That's why. I made the initial connection with John Carpenter because I was like, he's definitely in Big Trouble in Little China. He is.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
He's Egg Shen.
egg shit.
For me, it will always be the granddad of good old Rocky Colton Tum Tum.
What a classic.
Wow. Yeah.
Been a long time since I've seen that film. Do you know what he looks like in Three Ninjas? He looks like Asian Jack Black. If you look at Jack Black, how Jack Black looks now, just then I was like, is that Jack Black? Oh no, it's not. It's Victor Wong. Very similar.
Yeah.
Got a lot of time for Victor Wong. He's been a delight in everything I've seen him in.
Yeah.
I remember this Three Ninjas bit now. 'Cause they've got like the dummy that they've made up to beat up. It's all coming back to me.
Yeah. Easy
Okay.
to get confused, but you know, there
Not
we
got
go.
Mr. Miyagi in. It's got Uncle Ninja in it. Is Howard Birak, who. So they're like the opposing forces. One is the science and one is the anti-science. Jameson Parker as Brian Marsh. Was he the one with the mustache?
He's the moustache man. Yeah,
It was,
he
Why is he
leads
so
a group of
ripped?
incredibly old students. No one in that. I know they're
Yeah.
PhD students, but no one is under 40.
Yeah, but back
Yeah.
then people looked older.
I don't know. There was
Right.
like a guy with a skullet. You know which one I mean? Not the mullet. He had a skullet.
Yeah. He's the one who
it-
at one point later. on.
He was definitely. Well, no, there was that guy, but there's another guy
Oh,
with a
it's someone
skullet.
else.
There's two skullets in this
Oh, there
film.
was.
Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah.
Victor Wong's got a skullet as well. That's 3 skullets. There have never been more skullets in film.
There's-
John
Has John
Carpenter's got a
Carpenter
skullet
got a
too. Exactly. He's gone, right, we've got to get at least 3 or 4 characters in this movie with skullets.
We need
We're
to
bringing it
normalize
back, bringing it
skullets.
back.
We need to normalise skullets.
So you've
So
got
I want to walk down the street and I want people to go, why haven't you got a skullet? Not why have you got a skullet?
because the skullet is default haircut for anyone.
Yeah. I like it. It's business at the business at the front, party at the back, but extreme business at the front. Literally nothing going on out there. Yeah,
we
that
got
was impressive.
Lisa Blount as Catherine Danforth, who I guess she's like the she's sort of the I don't know who is the main who is the main character in this. It's an ensemble piece, I guess.
Yeah.
Mustache Man is kind of the main guy, right? Sort
Well, he's
of.
sort of.
All
Yeah.
of the female characters in this movie have got like the 80s sort of like perm, big jacket, sleeves rolled up going on. Everyone's got a variation of the same outfit. Except maybe Lisa, who's just got straight hair, but the rest of them, nice, voluminous perms. Very
Yeah.
impressive.
Dennis Dunn, who you might recognize from Big Trouble in Little China. What else is he in? I don't know. So he
Oh, he's annoying in this film.
yeah, he's like a ladies' man, but not a convincing ladies' man.
Is this the guy that gets all those apples? No.
This is the guy who's like always go. He didn't want to go because he's got a big date tonight, and then he
Yeah.
gets stuck in that room.
Stuck in a closet. He
That's
gets trapped
the
in a
fella you're
closet.
talking about.
Trapped
And
in a
even in
closet.
terribly, we'll come to it. Even in completely deadly situations, when he's only got a flimsy door protecting him, he's still giving him loads of shit. He's
Yeah.
like at the other side
Yeah.
of the door, like, "Oh, don't kill me, you pricks!" But
Yeah.
And he's got some terrible jokes. There's some jokes he pulls out, and
yeah,
a certain joke he made to one of the characters. He said that she could pass as Asian, and then and then he said she couldn't pass as Asian. I was confused. I was like, is she not Asian? I thought she was.
yeah.
Maybe
I'm
that's
pretty
the
sure
joke.
she is Asian. Like, I think this particular character,
You look
though,
like you could be Asian. If you say that to someone who's Chinese,
Yeah.
you look like you could be Asian. Maybe
She
that's
looked
the joke he's
annoyed
going
by
for.
that. She was like annoyed by it, and she was like, "Oh, give it a rest."
I don't know. Maybe there's some politics going on there that I'm not aware
Yeah.
of.
maybe
Yeah,
he's
possibly.
going for a very rare double cancelling because he's definitely going.
Yeah.
They're rare, but you can still get them if you look hard enough. Double cancelling. What happened? Was it double cancel?
If
That
you
way,
get
whichever
cancelled
whichever
so
way
hard,
you
you just fade away like Marty McFly's family in that picture.
you get locked away in the what's it called? The Phantom Zone. Oh,
Maybe you get pushed into the mirror dimension eventually.
shit. A double cancelling is where you say something, and whichever way you try and flip it is equally bad.
Yeah.
You go, no, I meant this. That's terrible.
In that
Oh, no, I
situation,
meant
you
the
just
exact
say,
opposite.
look, I just said some shit by accident. I've stepped into something I didn't mean to step into. I apologize.
Reverse. Can I reverse?
Maybe
Yeah.
that's what he's going for when he said that woman simultaneously could and then couldn't pass for Asian.
He was in a superposition. He was Schrodinger's cat. He was only going to be cancelled once we thought about. He's going to be cancelled or not cancelled when we think about what he's actually said. Until that situation, until we think about it, he's neither.
But if you think that he's cancelled, you in turn are cancelled for just thinking that he could be cancelled.
That reminds me. How did he's like studying to be a doctor in science or whatever. How did he not grasp Schrodinger's cat? I'm sure that's like they teach you that on day one of science school.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah.
He's
Maybe
like, what?
because he's the
He was just like
youngest of those scientists because he's only 29 rather than 35 minimum. That
And he hasn't got a skullet. I'm an outsider here in this class because I haven't got a skullet, all right?
And you can tell that Victor Wong is the the teacher because he's maybe 2 years older than the students.
So there's a bunch of other people. Dirk Blocker plays someone. I don't know who he is, but he's got a cool name.
Great name.
And then also Alice Cooper is in it as credited as Street Schizo, which I think is more of a nickname.
I mean, if there were roles if there were roles that John Carpenter wrote for certain actors, he just wrote down Street Schizo and then wrote down Alice Cooper underneath and went, "That's it. That's all I need." Sent it to
How
him.
are you with bikes, Alice? Interesting.
Well,
Yeah.
I do prefer him to have both wheels on them, but if the front wheel's missing, I will use the Shanker guy.
Yeah.
Talking of people looking old, sorry, Alice, I'm going to throw you under the bus here. Alice Cooper's looked the same age in every decade. I've never seen a picture of Alice Cooper and go, "That's Alice Cooper as a young man." I've always seen a picture of him and gone, "That's Alice Cooper, 50 plus."
Yeah.
Has he ever been younger?
I just quickly looked up who Dirk Blocker is, and he's from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's Hitchcock.
Yeah.
He's one.
Wait,
Yeah.
what? I want to see.
One of those.
Oh, yeah.
Dirk Blocker. So,
He's great as Hitchcock as well.
Alice Cooper's 72, which means in this film he was like late 30s. Absolutely not. Sorry, Alice.
Is he like Christopher Lloyd, who's like looked a certain age his entire career?
I'm getting obsessed with people's ages lately. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just my age, but as soon as I find out what age someone is, I think it's because I'm like 34 now. I just go, surely not. They're not older than me. What? They're younger than me? No. Just obsessed.
There's like something wrong with the world, like when you find out like people you've always thought are a certain age aren't the right age that you expected anymore.
It's absolutely baffling. It really does affect me deeply. I don't know how I'm going to cope in the next subsequent decades.
You should mention to Ben that Gwen Stefani is approaching 50 and he'll go into
Oh, no, I hate that.
mind of
I
madness.
absolutely hate that. When Jennifer Lopez was singing at the inauguration and someone pointed out that she was 50 odd, I was like, absolutely not. Leave me alone. No way. It's Jenny from the block.
She's like 20. Oh no, sorry, Ben. This is going to finish you. Gwen Stefani is 51. She already is 50.
Past it.
I mean, what is it anymore? I feel like I'm past it. I don't even know what it is.
I don't even know what
It'll
it is.
happen. It'll happen to you.
Oh,
Crazy,
Wow.
crazy
Jenny
times
from
we're
the block.
living in, and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. People that you thought were young and hip, and suddenly you'll go, "Oh damn, 50 years old."
I just googled I forgot his name, Dennis Dunn as well, because I was curious to see what it looked like now, and he looks kind of like how you exactly as you'd imagine. Dennis Dunn 2020. He looks pretty good. Mostly the same, I've got to say.
Oh yeah. Oh, mostly the same, except even more of a ladies' man. Yeah, he's looking pretty solid. Dennis Dunn. I mean, maybe he won't be able to kick your ass anymore,
Yeah.
but maybe you could have him if you were lucky, if you got the jump on him. He's almost wearing the same outfit in Big Trouble in Little China.
He's almost still looks like he's still in that closet in this picture.
That little cupboard off the campsite in a church. I feel like we've been influenced by the Prince of Darkness, because I think we've digressed a lot even for us.
I mean, this is a pretty easy film to digress while watching, I believe.
Yeah, because it is strange, right? So I guess if we make an attempt to, where do we even begin? We begin with an old priest dying for no reason, right? He's on a bed with a box.
Actually, we start off with like 10 minutes worth of credits. Like those credits.
There were a lot of
John
credits,
Carpenter music goes on for ages. Yeah. But
also,
you're right.
John Carpenter seems to be writing under a pseudonym as well, does he not?
We'll hang on to the trivia for that, mate. We don't want to be jumping ahead.
You don't want to be jumping and feet first into trivia. Come on.
Yeah, there's a priest who's dead, and also the Mr. Mustache sees the girl.
Yeah.
Like those 2 points are key to the film.
He sees her arriving, and he's practicing his magic or whatever he's doing out there, because this comes up a little bit. His old priest dies, and for some reason he keeps this precious key in a treasure box that he carries around with him. Just get a key ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine having a big old treasure box just hanging off of your jeans. Something
you're gonna carry around all the time. You're gonna leave that on a bus.
Yeah. Apparently he didn't go anywhere though, because later on they're talking about how he checks on the goo every morning. He orders food. I think does he go out for food once a month or something? I don't know.
He checks on the goo every morning, dirty boy.
Make sure it's still swirling in the same direction. Do you think if you took the swirling goo to the other hemisphere, it'd swirl in the other direction?
Yeah, I was going to say, it'd go the other way.
Good question.
Yeah.
It looks really like shiny and almost a bit glittery. It looks like a really posh bubble bath.
I think it's lime flavour.
It is the exact ooze that makes the turtles.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. If you put that in the fridge for 24 hours, get it out at a birthday party, no one would know the difference between that and the jelly.
I bet it'd be a nice sour apple flavour though, because I think a shiny jelly is always, a shiny thing. That's like a tangy Chewits or something like that.
Yeah.
But so he dies. There is a scene where basically a nun explains. It's a whole bit where the nun goes, "Oh yeah, I found him collapsed. He wasn't dead then. He was taken to hospital, but never regained consciousness. So he is dead now." And then priest, who oddly doesn't get a name, meets with Victor Wong, and he takes him to show him the ooze and says, "Look at this book. It's well confusing. Someone's been writing over different words, so I can't make hide and hair of it. I need your science, your youngest, brightest minds from your class." And he goes, "Got just the class."
Yeah.
I got just the class. I got the brightest minds. Not so sure about the youngest, but I got the brightest, all right?
Yeah, we've got Mustache Man. We've got Dirk Blocker.
We've got Dirk Blocker. We've got a series of different perms and rolled up sleeves and big jackets. And a woman who may or may not be Asian.
I'll take it.
In the wiki description, it says, among the 13 academics present are wisecracking Walter, Demure Kelly, and lovers Brian Marsh and Catherine Danforth. Is Walter wisecracking? Oh, Walter is Dennis Dunn. Oh, okay, yeah.
He's Schrodinger's cancellation.
Yeah. Is he wisecracking? He's just a dick. I got a date to go on. I can't be mucking about with this nonsense. And he's watching Tom and Jerry at one point. He's like,
yeah.
Listen, Walter, maybe if you just did some fucking science and knuckled down for a minute, we could be out of here now. All of us could.
Doesn't Brian Marsh and Catherine, they have a fling, a one-night stand, or spend the evening together pretty early on?
They kind of get together after he is sexist at her. Like, at uni, he, says something about, bloody women. And she goes, absolute fucker. And he goes, oh, I'm only joking. And she goes, all right then.
It's 1987. In 1987, is misogyny. Does she go, ooh, a bit of misogyny? This is an alpha male. He's got a lovely mustache as well.
Misogyny. Yeah.
Misogyny. Mustache-ogyny.
Oh, Luke, I just
lovely.
realised that you've shaved your beard off and everything. You
I,
could have kept your moustache to
yeah.
be him for the episode.
I tested the moustache. It was fail. It wasn't a positive test at all.
I think I did something
I even
similar
did
not so long ago.
Ben, with you did the goatee thing. I tried that as well, and I was like, why is my face so long? Like it reshapes your face completely.
I've just noticed that I've started to get that
it in
thing.
the wrong way.
Yeah. When I did the goatee thing, I noticed that like I'm getting to the point where my face and neck is becoming one.
You don't want that.
Just can't get away with it. Can't get away with it anymore. I was thinking about a moustache thing as well, but yeah, I definitely looked like I should be on some kind of register.
Yeah. I mean, it's lucky, like, you know, you've got to be careful with that if you also wear glasses, because if those lenses are just a tiny bit too thick, you'll have to tell the neighbours when you're moving in and out of the area. Oh no! For God's sake, Ben, don't also wear a cardigan.
That's all right. I don't think I own a cardigan, so we're all good.
I think that kind of suits you, that look, actually. You look like a paranormal investigator, like the one who knows the equipment. Yeah,
okay.
With the headphones on,
guy.
and the glasses, and the moustache, and the backwards cap.
You say that, he's definitely one of the ones who dies first.
Oh, yeah. But very memorable. Okay, so they all go into the building. At this point, Alice Cooper and some of the homeless people are kind of wandering around, listlessly loitering, languidly.
In the same way as the ants. So is John Carpenter here saying? Because none of them have drunk any ooze, as far as I'm aware.
The ants.
Are you saying that are ants and homeless people easier to possess than scientists?
Yes.
Yes, it's been proven in this movie. I don't know. It's hard to say, isn't it? Like, obviously, there's some sort of ominous evil force coming out of that church, and it's affecting them in some way.
Yeah.
Maybe it's affecting them because they're there constantly rather than just people walking by. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. We'll take the answer. But yeah, there's those shots of ants. There's a woman with a can of worms as well, which is open. I don't know if you noticed that sort of metaphor.
and there's a bit of news about a supernova. Are we led to believe that that's done something?
Yeah, there's like, on the news, someone was like, "There's been a supernova."
And there are ants on his telly.
There's ants on the telly, not on the.
It's too much going on. It's like we could go over to
not on the news segment. Like literally on the telly.
Oh, yeah.
And it's obviously an old TV, so it's got like a back.
Maybe little suits.
Maybe the supernova wasn't a thing. Like maybe all the ants had gone into the TV and they'd formed the image on the screen.
It's a bit mad. It's like on the news, we got the weather today. Any supernovas? Funny you should ask that. There has been one.
Might want to put on a coat for Monday morning. There's a bloody supernova.
There's a supernova coming, and then you're right. So they've opened this can of worms, and basically we go in, and everyone is getting ready to do their particular bit of science. So there's a radiologist who no one can remember the name of. Literally 80% of the dialogue in the film is someone go, "Have you seen what's her name?" Susan. Because have you seen Susan? And then who? Oh, the radiologist wears glasses. Like literally, that is so.
Which one's Susan? She's the one who first gets possessed.
She's the radiologist who no one knows. Yeah.
I think they've done so well at integrating her as nobody knows who she is that now I don't know who she is.
Yeah. I literally had to look my notes. So yes, so there's her and the guy who looks like a bit like Meatloaf fancies her.
Hitchcock. Oh no,
not him. the guy who looks him, and he's the one that goes around making trumpet noises and basically getting like so many apples.
Yeah, it's good. He does it really good.
He's going around
I know what you mean. He's not. He's not. He's not a skeleton man. He's not
Yeah.
supposed to be a student, though, is he?
He's just another professor, maybe.
I was
'Cause
going
he-
to say, because if they've tried to make him a student, that is really pushing the boat
Yeah,
out.
but
'cause
you
he
can
is-
be a student at any age at university. Like you.
Yeah, of course, but I've.
But
Yeah,
you
it's
expect
alright.
one or two of them to be
Uncovered
young.
Ben's ageism. Watching
I
the
told you I'll get
clown,
obsessed with people's ages lately.
What
Cancelled.
you should do is, oh, you could pass for a student.
Yeah, but they don't say you're a mature student. They just go, oh,
Why would this?
I don't
I
know.
don't know why they're coming to conversation.
So
How mature are
he-
you? Okay.
He's around. I don't know what he's doing, but the basically the Susan the radiologist is X-raying the jar to see how it locks. One of the science lady who may or may not pass for Asian, and our main character love interest lady, they are translating that book that people have written in over languages, and they're
The
using the
Hitchcock
computers to
guy
do it.
It's like a notebook, and he's just writing down green.
Great.
Probably
Good.
sour apple.
Yeah. Sour
Yeah.
apple
Sour
cider.
apple. Get the shots in, lads. Get the shots in. I've got some shots of sours here.
Apple sours.
50%. Grow up.
What is sour? I mean, Satany. Yeah.
If Satan had a flavour, what would he be? Apple sour.
It is very watery, though, isn't it? The goo. Like, it looks thick and viscous in the jar,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but when it comes out, incredibly watery.
Yeah,
Very
I would have expected Satan to have a higher viscosity than he does when he
100%.
comes in. That is one note I would give to John, the master of horror.
You got the viscosity wrong with Satan.
Yeah, I'd expect Satan to be
I'd say
At
uneven.
least-
Like he can have some loose bits, but
Lovely.
they need to have like tarry bits as well, and some bubbles and chunks. A few more chunks in there, I would have said.
I don't need him to be as thick as like a skier Nordic yogurt. I think he'd have more give than that. I think if you threw him against a wall, he would run down.
Yeah.
Maybe a like a cake batter. So I'm thinking.
Somewhere
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
would be like
okay.
be claggy. Like if it got in your mouth, it'd be claggy and bothersome. You couldn't just spit it out. It would be like
Oh, you wouldn't be able to. You'd be
yeah.
possessed.
possessed, straight up possessed.
But
Been
either way,
possessed, but
they're doing all their various science. They're starting to translate the books, and then the first thing that we really see that shows that things are beginning to go awry is one of the cohorts, like an introduced, maybe the youngest of all the scientists. He could pass as maybe someone who's just left uni. Maybe he goes, right, I actually can't stay for the weekend because they're having a sleepover at the church with yous. He goes, I'm going. He goes outside only to find Pigeon Jesus on the cross.
oh yeah, old pigeon Jesus.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then when he goes to take a closer look at Pigeon Jesus,
Oh,
And
who's
then-
done that?
and then who should come up beside him with a bicycle?
It's Cooper. Fucking hell. What are you doing here?
What are you doing here? What are you doing with a bicycle?
But before he can
Well,
even get that question out, Alice Cooper bikes him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
damn.
Is the liquid already gleeked into
No,
Suzanne's face at this point?
It gleeks in a minute. So Alice Cooper bikes the guy, and then we have that first conversation where they've translated some of the book,
Okay.
and Victor Wong explains that Ivan Ooze may or may not be Satan's dad. An alien Jesus came to Earth to try and warn everybody, but no one believed him, so he decided to wait until the science had caught up so you could properly
You're well
understand.
annoying, wouldn't it? Arriving
Right.
on planet Earth with a big important message and then going, science here is absolutely so far behind. You're all a bunch of imbeciles. See you later.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to have to wait for a perfect time to wait for the science to be good enough for you to understand, and then I can send a message about the science back in time to warn you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, Jesus is an alien. There's an ooze man, and this is when we talk about that Satan may or may not be the goo, whose job it is to find the anti-god because of particles. There are always opposites.
Where are they getting all this information from? Just all the old texts
from that book. Yeah,
from that book, and then just knowing all the science.
Some wikis.
All I need to do is know the science.
Joe Rogan podcast.
That's who sending that message back, Luke.
Alex Jones.
It's Joe Rogan just sending it back.
Yeah, that we just getting a bit of the Joe Rogan podcast. What? 1999. That's the year, right? We'd say 199.
Yeah, 1999. You'd say it a bit quicker. But this is when, what's her name? The radiologist, you know her, she's got glasses.
Suzanne.
She, despite finding out that the canister would only ever open itself from the inside because that's where the lock is, so there's no risk of it coming out. She has very quickly got egg on her face because while she's the only one looking at it, she has a bit of a funny turn, and then is sort of a bit possessed, I guess, and a bit. She's gone a bit funny because she sort of wanders towards it, and only snaps out of it when telekinetic Satan makes like a table move a little bit. Then some of the ooze has gone up on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And she's looking at it, mouth agape, and it gleeks right into her gob.
And it's real.
You would look at it though. I mean, if it's on the roof like that, I think you would take a moment to wonder what the hell you
with your mouth wide open, and then it does. It's a very powerful jet of it that goes straight into her mouth, isn't it? Like a pressure washer, like a gleek.
I'm surprised you've never done it. I mean, it's not a common occurrence to me, but it's common enough for me to go, "Oh, what is that? Why does that happen?"
Yeah. If you look around mentioning Monster Munch, then it'll happen. It can happen to anyone.
It's like it happens when I'm scared or like I'm feeling defensive.
It's like a defense mechanism. It's like a gleek, 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 gleek. I'll gleek at you all.
Spitting venom at them, trying to possess them.
Yeah.
So it goes in her mouth, and she gags and thrashes around, and then we see her stand up possessed. Not all bad news though, because being possessed appears to have removed her need for glasses. She doesn't wear them for the rest of the film now.
It's like Spider-Man. It's like when Peter Parker gets bitten by a radioactive spider. First thing you notice is A, I'm strong. B, don't need my glasses anymore. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Same as if you're possessed by Satan.
Strong and never need glasses.
No. Have you ever seen a spider with glasses on? Nope.
Too many eyes, mate. Cross the bomb.
No ears either. How would they stay on?
Sabers. Yeah.
And Susan doesn't need glasses anymore either because now being possessed has reshaped her retinas, I guess, and now she's got 20/20. She's all in. This is when we see the guys continue to be pissing about. My next note here just says, obviously possessed woman is possessed. So the trumpet man is going around and he sees it. Hey, how's it going? And then he just ignores her.
That'd be annoying, wouldn't it? You just feel like, oh, why?
Butter, man.
That's like someone that works in the office with you. He starts doing that for the first day and you're like, oh, he's a bit kooky, isn't he? After day 3, you're just like, I want to murder him.
There was a guy I used to work with. We used to work in the basement office. There's 4 of us. And he used to scat in his little corner, like a jazz scat, all the time, like constantly. He was a nice enough guy, but you just hear him go,
Spirited
like
jazz.
he did, it's crazy. Yeah.
Skibbity bop bop bop.
That's pretty annoying.
You guys have obviously got much higher tolerance. Last time I worked in an office, it's just been a number of years ago now, but one of the old teams I used to sit on, there was just another team that was only just about within earshot. And you could hear people on the phone doing their calls all day long, but there was just one guy whose voice you could just pick out. You could just pick out from across the room, and he wasn't saying anything. He wasn't saying anything.
You can still hear his voice.
Wasn't saying anything. I could just hear it. I could just hear him doing his job, being perfectly jovial, and I just sit there grinding my teeth at my desk going,
Yeah.
I've got a really good one. So there was a woman who used to sit probably about as far away as that, like just down the office a while. She used to wear a really heavy set bangle on her wrist, and it would clunk on the table just constantly throughout the day, right? But you know what annoyed me the most about it is that no one else was bothered by it. It was only me going, "Are you listening to this clunking? This ridiculous clunking?" And people go, "The what?" And I'd be like, "That bangle's been clunking all day." And they go, "Oh, I'd never hear it." And I go, "Oh yeah, whatever. You wouldn't." It was ridiculous. Yeah. She used to type on her keyboard and it would just clunk, 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 clunk. I think, does it not annoy you, the person who's closest to the clunking?
Get rid of it. In the office, I just put headphones in and listen to music. Just everything else to drive it out.
Luke, I'm not even lying. Sometimes the clunking would bypass my music. There
wasn't drums in this atmospheric too. Last time I listened to it.
It tuned in. I was so attuned to the whatever the sound wave was of the clunking that I could constantly hear it.
Yeah. Maybe you could mix in like the clunking with that scatting, and then just the backtrack of my guy doing his job, being perfectly nice about it. Although eventually I found that I was trying to listen out for things to be annoyed that he said, and he did mispronounce pronunciation, and I was like,
pronunciation.
Oh no!
He said, "Oh, my pronunciation." I was like,
pronunciation,
and I was like, irony, and I hate you.
And he never knew. He went about his business and went, "What a lovely day I just had." I pronounced pronunciation perfectly as well.
Yeah, I was out. I've just been out there doing my best to just do a nice job and do a good thing. Little did he know that I was there going,
somewhere someone was hating him.
It's weird though, because I feel like I'm quite patient with stuff like that, but when you hear it all day, every day, 8 hours a day, it makes you want to fucking murder people. I wanted to go up to her bangle with like some bolt cutters and just take it off of her wrist. And I remember I said that to someone once, and they went, "Well, do it then." What the fuck? I don't think I can.
Because that's the problem there as well. Because it's the worst when something is annoying you, and you know you're being unreasonable, and that it bothers you. Because I know, like the guy wasn't talking loudly; he was just doing his normal. He was just having a normal life, and the same as that. Like in the grand scheme of things, I'm sure you agree, Ben. That wasn't a horrible woman.
Yeah,
just had a bangle.
Maybe not. Bit annoying. Yeah, I know what you mean about the voices, though. Sometimes I would hear conversations and I could only hear one side of the conversation. So I'm like, why are you so loud? But the person you're talking to, why can't I hear them? Bring your levels down. Come on.
I feel so I understand this pain because I've been in this pain myself. When you've got a cold and you can't stop sniffing or you can't stop coughing, and every time you cough, you think, "I'm so sorry." I know it's like super frustrating.
It's so annoying.
It is. It's really annoying.
You can let people off unless that cough lasts for 3 months, and then I think just sort it out.
I don't know. Maybe we live in a world now where people will do anything to stifle coughing. Maybe that's gone. Maybe that's finished.
Well, I read before that they used to cough to cover a fart. If you're going to do that, I mean, I would never do that in a public place. That would never be me. I'd save it till I got home. But now
I don't understand that. Hang on, we'll get back to the film in a sec. How does a person hold? That's not possible. Kat always used to have a go at me and say, "You should wait till you're in the bathroom." What? That's not an option. That's not an option.
Especially I'm like in.
Like you can hold it for maybe a minute or something.
Yeah, but sometimes you hold it for long enough, it goes back in, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. It seeps out, and then.
Yeah, what's happened? Has it then basically just like. I don't know, what is it, like metabolized back into your body?
You sweat it out.
Plus, you don't want it in your body. It wants to get out for a reason.
But what I'm saying is, obviously now in the times of COVID-19...
Who's the Prince of Darkness?
Someone's going to find this podcast and be like, "Oh, well, this is this podcast about Prince of Darkness. I'll just get it to about halfway to see what they're talking about." You know? Anyway, but now because of COVID-19, you're farting to mask a cough.
Yeah.
True story.
Okay.
So what happens is Dirk Blocker is our next casualty. They're
Yeah.
searching for what's the chops who a radiographer wears glasses. They're searching for her, and he goes to look for her in the ooze room. And she just sneaks up behind him and snaps his neck.
Yeah.
Bless him.
And then we get an escalation. So a couple of the guys, I don't know all of their names. So Walter is one of them. Connor, I think, is the other guy. And then one of the guys they're outside having a little smoke, and one of them goes, oh, I ain't getting back in there. It's car. And he says car another couple of times, only then to find out that there's like a human chain of possessed homeless people kind of blocking his exit, and possessed Susan stands on the fire escape. He has a look at her and goes, covered in beetles. Yeah. And then he looks down and he's covered in beetles. And I guess the beetles are holding him still because they're all around his feet. And that means he's unable to escape when the bag lady gets him with the secateurs.
At this point, there's a shot where it looks like they're all standing in all of the beetles. Did they actually do that? Because it looked like they're all moving and stuff. I was like, oh god.
He was standing in the beetles, but he gets got with the secateurs, and that's it for him.
Well, not just yet. I mean, sort of. It is sort of, but
he comes back with a message.
Yeah. Is it Satan giving the message, or is it?
I guess it's him.
The anti-god.
Yeah, well, someone's giving that message, and I don't know. I mean, we'll come to it when he gives it, but it's an unusual message in what comes before. What he says is a little build-up to the message, but so he gets secateured, and this is when we found. This is where we get the first snippet of the dream. Victor Wong is having a little sleep, and he sees a little bit of the message that says, "Hey, it's your boy Joe Rogan. This message it's not a dream, but it is appearing like a dream because our technology can't get through to the conscious mind." But Joe, if you just give me the message rather than explaining the limitations of your technology, we could do something about this.
Yeah.
He says this message comes from 199, and there's an eerie vampire-y man in the door, but he wakes up before he gets the rest of the message, right?
Mm.
So the technology still isn't right. So this message is still coming too early. Is that what we're saying? He wanted it to be a tweet, didn't he? He wanted it to go viral as a tweet, like in 2020. What's he playing at?
He doesn't. And then the priest says that like this message has been coming back for a while because anyone who sleeps here gets this message, right?
Okay.
Okay, got it.
Interesting.
That doesn't. Although surely the priest could have just been hanging around there. Oh, he only just went because the old man just died. You'd think if the priest who used to be there with his treasure box had wanted to be helpful, he'd have written out the full details of the dream on a bit of paper.
Yeah, but it's like, I'll dream about it again tomorrow.
I'll remember.
Oh,
I'll get
round to it. Yeah. I'll get round to it.
But you didn't have your post-its. You'd not been to the shop in ages.
And
you had no Amazon Prime. Done.
So wow. We get this message. This is the bit where my notes basically say no fucker knows who Susan is, because that's when we get another person coming and go, you seen Susan? Who? Radiographer, glasses. No, mate, I haven't.
She's been wandering around here ominously for hours. Nobody's seen her. God.
This is when as Walter at this point offended the other student and said she could pass for Asian. because she's the one that gets got next. Because Susan is behind the door where she's doing some more work on a computer, and she. Oh no, she goes for a little lie down, doesn't she? And then Susan's on the bed, and she crawls onto a chest, and she's in the middle of saying, "Oh, sorry, occupied. I'm in this." And then before she can get those words out,
she's in the middle of saying, "Not for me." I think because initially she's a bit like occupied. Someone's in this bed. Can you fucking see me lying here? Jesus.
Yeah.
Crawling up me really slowly, and then she spits some of the ooze into her mouth, and then was wondering, well, only a bit of ooze went into Susan's mouth, so are they equally possessed? And you just need a bit in you to be possessed, or have they diluted the amount of possessed they are between the two?
How many parts Satan do you need to get the full?
Is it like Robinson's Fruit and Barley? Is it anything like that?
One part Satan.
He's a double strength, which is before its time.
He's a double strength. See, if I've got normal strength or double strength, I kind of always go for the same sort of amount.
Yeah,
I don't let the double strength.
I always eyeball it. No, once have I gone. That's about one part. And
I don't
even understand what the one part is. Is that one part of the whole, or is that one? Is that like a 1/0? Like a quarter.
I don't like to be able to see through my squash.
No, definitely not.
Wait,
not right.
I mean, yeah, I've got a cup here, right? So,
Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
That is the same size as the cylinder from.
You've got the orange flavored Satan.
The cylinder.
Is that orange and barley?
If you drink all that, you'll be getting up in the middle of the night to piss 10 times.
And it will look the same colour. It's I can see what you mean. That squash looks about right to me.
Yeah, you can't have it too weak. If you can see through your squash, I'd almost rather have a water myself.
And then if you have someone make the squash for you, like you can really work out if you're going to get on with a person or not by what kind of squash they make for you. If they give it to you and it is pretty much see-through, I just say, "What's wrong with you? You're sick."
Oh, that's how much you value. That's how you value my friendship, is it? Not enough to give me a little bit extra squash. Save it for a rainy day, are you?
If it's too strong, it kicks off my asthma. So if they give you one that's too strong, they're literally saying they want you to be dead.
Oh, it kicks off your asthma. How does that work?
I don't know. It does cat as well. It's like some of the substance that gets your airways all clogged up or something. I don't know. It's weird.
I don't have asthma, but I've experienced something similar. I get it in a jacuzzi. If I sit in a jacuzzi, I get ever so tight chested and like all of a sudden the bubbles are doing something to my lungs.
It might be a Satan trying to get you very subtly, because obviously he's been diluted since the 80s when this film came out.
Now
now he can only make you cough a bit rather than open a mirror dimension.
If you look at the back of Robinson's bottle, it says trace elements of Satan.
Yeah,
is in there.
Trace elements. Drink it.
Yeah. So Susan possesses our other character, and there's enough parts of Satan per Catherine to also possess her.
We haven't mentioned that woman who bumped her arm on something and got a weird bruise, and then there was a weird icon on the bruise.
Wait,
is it Susan?
Kelly.
Kelly.
Okay.
Yeah, Kelly's bumped her arm and has a weird symbol. You're right. Some of the others go and look for the missing people in the ooze room. They don't look very well because no one sees that Dirk Blocker is literally dead on the floor, and they haven't hidden him. He's
literally lying there.
He's literally just over there, and they don't look.
Self-obsessed idiots.
And meanwhile, he has died, as sometimes do, with his mouth open, and a bit of Satan is dripping in his mouth as well. But they haven't diluted him. He's getting it straight from the source.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing is we're seeing more people. We're seeing more people get got, and the next one, of course, is Connor. So he goes. Is Connor the name? Yes, Connor. So Connor goes into the room with Catherine, and she is typing, "I live, I live, I live, I live, I live," and her typography is excellent. Not a single typo comes up. I did go back. I
Good spacing.
rewound a couple of seconds and had a look. She isn't tapping the space bar, so I don't know how she's doing it. And then she writes that you. So I live. You will not be saved by the Holy Ghost or the King Plutonium. So I can only assume that is a previously unannounced form of God. That's like his mega evolution. So it goes God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, Plutonium, the final form.
Plutonium. Science. That's what it is. Science more important than religion is what we're saying.
Yeah, so Plutonium, the God Plutonium isn't going to help you either. But unfortunately, before we can fathom that out, Connor is also knocked out by Catherine, and then he gets juice boxed by Susan because she goes up to his mouth and goes.
Yeah. Gives him a little kiss.
So is this the point where Insect Man with the skull outside
He comes,
wobbles?
Yeah.
He comes up in a minute. So they find out that the back doors. Yeah, this is right. So they can't escape because I guess the homeless people have put loads of rubbish against the doors so no one can get out.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
This is when this happens. And then the man who previously described things as caca before he got secretaried, he like shouts at the window to the people that are still alive. And he goes, "Hey, I've got a message for you, but you're not going to like it." Why would Satan say that?
Yeah.
Satan.
Satan is just so such a bad attitude, Satan.
What is
sassy?
His name is Wyndham. So yeah, Wyndham
Scarlet
says he gets up and says, "Oh, I've got a message for you. You're not going to like it." And then what does he say? What is his message? I forgot. I've neglected to write.
I've got a message for you, and you're not going to like it. Whoa! He just puts,
and then just explodes, and then just explodes into bugs.
Yeah, his head falls off, his arms fall off. He just turns into bugs from
Thing
far
is,
away. I mean,
when he first starts talking,
terrible. I wouldn't know what was happening.
When he first starts talking, people are acting like his voice isn't super wobbly, like he's talking through a comb or fan or whatever. He's obviously not right.
Yeah.
What's going on with your mouth, mate?
He sounds like he's talking for a comb or a fan, but there's not a comb or a fan anywhere near him.
Yeah.
And he's quite far away. You're right. You might not be able to see the bugs. All right, Wyndham, I get it. You don't want to be here.
Just get out of here. He's done an elaborate bug thing just to make himself look, just so he can get out of it. Oh, sorry.
Oh yeah, I noticed. So when he dies, when he gets murdered, his hand is off of his body, but then later on, his hands are back on his body, to then fall off again. And
because the bugs are eating it.
Yes, it seems like he's been put back together by the bugs for them to sort of like dress as him to talk. So it's the bugs that are talking in unison.
Yeah.
To them, and then he kind of deflates.
Do you reckon they've done the whole suit? Do you reckon they've done the shoes and the socks as well?
That's
I imagine that'd be quite difficult.
Yeah.
Well, they've had, I guess, in the time that has passed through the film, they've had a couple of hours to get this right. If anyone had looked out the window while everything else gone, they would have seen them doing practice and they can't get the voice right. And they're like, should we put that bit in about them not liking the message?
Yeah, they added that.
Sounds a bit silly. Now we'll add it. Ad lib.
Yeah.
Like, one of the bugs that's right in the script they're going to say about Satan being back or whatever it is they say. He like goes, guys, just they're looking out the window now though. Oh, stall them. Just tell them you got a message. I'm not quite finished.
Not quite finished it. I've got the first draft, but it needs edited.
I've got a message for you. And the guy's like, yes, go on. No. You're not gonna like it. But yeah, he basically says, "Oh, you're buggered, mate. Ivan Ooze is back in town, baby."
He said, "You're buggered."
The bugs.
Hey.
You probably can't tell because I'm quite far away, but I'm bugs. And then he just turns into
yeah. You can't tell because it's the middle of the night and I'm far away and there's loads of black bugs down here. But I promise you they're here. You can't see them.
Yeah, and he falls apart to bugs. A couple of other people have had the dream at this point, and we've had maybe a little bit more of a flash. I think we've gone from the year 19 to the year 199 and seen a little bit more of the figure. Priest has a bit of a moment here. It's like he gathers them all together. He goes, "Oh, please, you must tell me who's had the dream. No, go on, please." And no one's like refused to tell him, but he really gets onto it hard. He's like, "No, honestly, please tell me if you've had that dream." Like anyone's
I can't tell you what I've had a
about
dream
it.
about. My dreams are mental. Oh, well, don't want to share them with you, right? You'd be terrified. I haven't had that one.
But he a couple of them say it, and he goes through, and this is where they talk about, I think just before we see Bug Wordnam, they talk about tachyon pulses, and you're being very silly, but this is one of the bits that I liked about the film, that I found it engaging. This is where they linked the science fiction elements and the religion elements and the Satan bits and the message coming from the past, and talking about how they're getting that message back. It all started to click together story-wise for me here. But don't worry, the madness soon returns as over 9,000 gallons of ooze goes into Kelly.
Yeah,
because Kelly, who has the mark on her arm,
yeah,
she'd gone for a lie down, and what with all the zombies and stuff, people hadn't gone to wake her up. So the multitude of possessed people have dragged the ooze pot. It's on a little wheelie trolley now, and they've taken it into the room where she is having a sleep. And Walter goes in to see what's going on. And while he's hiding in the cupboard, I think he might be hiding in the cupboard by now. He has a look in and sees literally all that ooze that was it's on the ceiling when he walks in. And at first I thought he was going to get gleeked, but he didn't. He hides in the cupboard, and then we see all of it reverse Freddy Krueger into Kelly.
Yeah. Her belly kind of, like, it looks like if she'd jump around, you'd hear the sloshing of the liquid.
Yeah, when you've had a big drink too fast.
All that appetizer. Yeah. Her skin doesn't go immediately, but her skin starts to deteriorate. Her flesh starts to melt off of her face and arms and stuff.
Yeah.
She goes through a whole thing, because it all goes into her, and she has no face for a minute. Well, old what's the chops, you know her, she has the glasses. She just watches on, and then all of them kind of come to the corridor, and they've seen some scary things. They've seen Susan without her glasses. They've seen a man turn into bugs, and then they seem expressly frightened by Dirk Blocker just coming round the corner. His neck's a bit crooked, but he doesn't look classically horrifying, and they seem terrified, and they run away from him, only to find is this when Connor comes up the stairs and he's singing Amazing Grace, but slits his throat with some banister?
Yeah. Well, he cuts. It's a bit of chair, and then he just snaps off. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then just.
What did you make of this? Do you make that? Is he just being a spooker and trying to get them scared, or do you reckon he's still kind of good and decides to chop his neck rather than
gotta be
possessed?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I thought he was still being. Maybe he's not fully possessed, and he's still.
Because he's singing hymns as well.
Yeah. So that could definitely be what he's doing.
Yeah, maybe he's kind of holding off the Satan.
And when he returns after that, when the slice of the throat doesn't fully kill him, when he returns after that, he's definitely 100% possessed and obsessed with his own reflection.
Yeah.
Well, they love Satan loves the mirror dimension, doesn't he? So
that was like Luke singing after he trimmed his beard. That was what he was doing to the mirror.
Just giggling maniacally.
I haven't seen that face for so long.
But
they're saying, "Dad." Is that you, Dad?
Dad. But so Walter is hanging out in the he's hanging out in the cupboard at this point. The others are running around, and the sun has come up for no reason, apart from just to do the progression of time, because the next scene or so takes an entire day until it's almost nighttime again.
Yeah, that was baffling.
The sun has come up. My first thought was, this should be good, because in the wide shot we see that the church with all the ghosts in it is right next to what looks to be a photography studio or a photograph shop. So that'll open in a bit, unless it's a Sunday.
Yeah.
That'll open in a bit, and surely in the course of regular business, someone will go, "It's a bloke that's bugs in that car park. Should call someone." But the sun's coming up. Walter has still got the chat, despite just being behind a single door. He's like, what joke does he tell him? I'm pretty sure we can't repeat it now in 2021.
He says about the Jewish woman going on a flight and coming back from like with a Zulu warrior. Do you remember that?
Yeah. And as a mum says, I told you to go away and marry a rich doctor. Very good.
Very good. He's all over it, this guy.
Yeah, Walter's standing behind a door while Kelly is pregnant with ooze. The sun's come up, and then they realise maybe the whole reason Walter told the jokes is so the others can hear him because their room backs onto the cupboard he's hiding in. And they say, "Oh, we can. This wall's pretty thick, but we can probably get you out of it." And then immediately, with like the slightest poke of a table leg, make a massive hole in the wall.
They're like, it might take a while. It's like, will it? How thick is the wall?
Yeah, like 15 minutes. It'd be twice as fast, Walter, if you helped from the other side, but he doesn't. He stands there giving them shit.
That, yeah. You do your side as well, for God's sake. We'll meet in the middle. What's wrong with you?
What's he got to do it with? They've got a table leg.
There better be something in that room. Elbow.
Yeah, or just give it a kick, or at least pull the bricks. Who knows? But this is where Walter's doing his jokes. Kelly is turning into Vacman, enemy of Stretch Armstrong. She's getting all sort of puckered at this point, like she's been in the bath for too long.
Oh, very gruesome.
Brian,
the others are just
magic
watching,
man,
aren't they?
Yeah, our magic man Brian has a quick go. Like, my note here just says, "What the fuck was your plan, Brian?" Because this is when the sun has come up. He goes, "Right, I'm going to try something. Get ready to pull me up." He jumps down into the alley where the homeless people are on the other side of the alley. He jumps down into the alley, and the homeless people rush at him, and he climbs back up at the last second.
Like, what did you think was going to happen? What if they didn't rush at you? What were you going to do? I kept thinking he was going to go over the next fence, but he didn't.
He just went down.
Then, Professor Howard says, even if we could get help, like, no one can help us or something, isn't it? Like, with what's happening. It's like, oh, great. Nice one.
Yeah.
I'd still have a go. You'd still say, "Oh,
yeah, still get me out of here."
If the police said, "Do you want us to come and try and shoot these people?" I'd say, "Yeah, make sure you don't get gleeped, but yeah, if you could."
Gleeped from afar.
Yeah, where 2020 wouldn't happen. People should have masks on.
Exactly.
So,
safety from Satan as well.
At this point, what's her name? So she absorbs all of the juice into her system. She is now technically Satan, right?
Yeah, she is now technically Satan. I've noticed
a lot.
The pluses, she has psychic powers now.
Yeah.
But as a minus, your skin's fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She looks like she's been eating a brownie. Like she's constantly got like chocolate covering her front teeth or something. I don't know why.
Yeah,
that's come from.
Bad teeth as Satan as well. How did the ooze do that? Maybe it's not a sugar-free ooze.
Yeah. Maybe it was. It's the aspartame. It ruins your teeth.
Oh, that's it. And Satan, because he's the prince of all lies, has marketed it as tooth kind.
Exactly.
But it ain't good for your teeth. Stop it, Satan.
Yeah.
The priest who has had to hide in a different place because he got separated from the others, so he's just round the corner watching all this happen.
But then he starts reading from the Bible, like out loud.
He's reading and doing a prayer. But I was like, this prayer is very specific that this would have been in the Bible. Is like, "Dear God, pray to you to help us with this difficult time when Satan is coming from the mirror dimension." I was like, either you're reading that and that's a very specific edition. That's like end of the world edition of the Bible you've got there.
So yeah,
or you're not reading it.
How new? Very new. I've just read it just now.
Yeah, and come on,
brand new.
If you've been a priest all these years, I'd expect you to be off book by now. You don't need to read your lines. But he's still going. And then this is kind of when when the sun starts to go down again, and they've spent all day smashing that wall. But then when it looks like Satan is going to attack, Walter actually makes an effort to help them kick
too
the
little,
wall. Does
too
it in
late,
like
Walter.
does it in like
Too
2
little,
minutes.
too late. Yeah,
Everyone the majority of people, with the exception of Moustache Brian, always fight the Satans with their mouths wide open, because there's one character we haven't mentioned him that much. He literally just gets gleeked the second someone comes into the room.
Dude. Who was that dude? I swear he didn't appear till halfway through the film.
He was near the start. He was like another professor guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he disappears for most of it. Yeah.
Yeah. What was he doing? He
just stands behind. He just stands behind people quite a bit, but he gets gleeked straight away.
Because old Mustache Man does do a bit of fighting, and he dodges a couple of gleeps, doesn't he?
Yeah, he dodges a couple, and and this guy who we just saw get gleeked, he returns a bit later on, and gets wazzed out the window, literally ducked under.
They throw Lisa out the window as well, right?
Yeah, Lisa gets out the window. She follows Walter through the hole because she's the one that first goes in there. They try to smash her head in with bricks, but it doesn't work. So they toss her out the window, and it's a big thing. Like she's running for them, and not that there's been an episode of Diversions already. This reminded me very strongly of an incident which happened in real life to us. It was a summer's evening.
Lobbed out the window.
No, in the summers, my parents always used to go away. Once we were from 15, 16, I gave up going away on holiday with my parents to Cornwall, and we just used to basically live in their house for a couple of weeks. My friends basically just come over. We used to just hang out there for a couple of weeks in the summertime. It was great. Played a lot of video games, drank a bit. It was good times. But on one occasion, they were actually late leaving. So a couple of my friends had still come round. It was like we were like 16, 17. We were going to have a couple of drinks. We were going to people around. We were messing around. We'd gone out and just, as you do when you're a kid, you hang out on the street near your house. Like there was a fence, hang out there. And we were all there, hanging out there. And one of our other friends was on the phone. He was like, "Oh, is that thingy? I want to talk to him." And he went to jump on my friend who was on the phone at the time, like really dive at him. And the other guy just sort of leaned forward, and he flew over, and then like completely defenseless, like swan dived through the air, and then just landed on the road, the tarmac, and slid across.
Oh Jesus!
And at that point, that is when he
did he live?
No, he went from like
he died.
He went from like fun drunk to incredibly sick drunk, and then he did some throwing up, and then my parents hadn't left; they were late leaving, so they were still at home. We just took them back, and they were sort of sitting in the living room. My friend being sick, pretty much dry rice into a saucepan, and then he kind of snapped out of it, and then was fine again. And he was like,
second wind.
Yeah. No, he had like a bag of peas on his face, and he was like, "Oh, what have you done to me? What have you done as this accent?" And it was like that scene in the original Batman where it's like, "Give me a mirror, give me a mirror." And the next day he had to go to work in a shop he was working at the time, and he basically looked like Two-Face. Like one of the sides of his face was normal, and the other side he had like a massive black eye and like basically road rash down his face. Yeah, and that's basically that dive and the terrible injury reminded me of what happens to not one but two Satans in this film, because they dive at Brian, and he basically just ducks and then throws them out the windows.
Yeah, because the Satans don't seem to do much. There's a lot of slow walking towards people and reaching and grabbing and stuff. But suddenly towards the end of the film, they start diving about.
Maybe they've got enough people that don't want to spit in your mouth at this point. They want to
actually get you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually get you.
Okay.
So Kelly goes into the room where what's his name? Who's the dude who slit his throat? Who's looking in the mirror, loving himself?
His name is Connor.
So she goes in there as well, and they all start getting pretty fascinated by the old mirror.
Yeah, she's already tried to get Satan through the compact mirror. You can only get your fingers. Satan's dad ain't gonna fit through there.
No, teeny tiny, ridiculous. Luckily, in the next room, there's a massive mirror.
Yeah,
It's all good.
yeah. And this is where the priest, having finished his prayers, thinks, right, it's time for me to step up and do something. And thankfully, under some bric-a-brac in the corridor where he's been doing some prayers, lovely fire axe. Maybe his prayers. Maybe Big G sent that to him to help. The axe.
He did. Manifested a big old axe. So he attacks Kelly with it, slices off her arm, but grows straight back.
He regenerates like
Regenerate
anyone's
arm.
business.
And then you go for the head next when you go, right, arm, that ain't going to happen. Maybe if I go for the head, but no.
The
head
problem
comes
with the
off.
priest here, and maybe this is because he's dedicated his life to, to studying religion, he's not a great chopper because he chops the arm off, watches it regenerate, then chops the head off, and doesn't continue chopping. He's like, right, okay,
Yeah.
your turn. Okay,
Yeah.
you can put that back on. Doesn't grow a new. She can regrow arms, but puts a head, but the head can just be put back on. Doesn't grow a new head because I guess that'd get confusing.
Takes it in turns.
Yeah.
To go with their little fighty moves, JRPG style.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Satan has summoned allies, and Connor has managed to out wrestle Brian for a minute, and he's put the smack down on him, and he wrestles the priest away, so he can't chop Satan anymore, and she's reaching in, saying, Dad, I'm over here. And then we see, and this is the image you're talking about, right, earlier on. Like, we see Satan's dad's big hippo meat hand.
Yeah.
He's on the way.
There's some kind of monster thing in the mirror. That's quite a cool, interesting visual that could have, I don't know, could have been the thing that could have sold the movie a bit better. I don't know.
Yeah. But I guess this is one of those things, right? Like, to be serious about it, like, is there something that is meant to be, especially that you built up so psychologically, like this is opposite day God, and this is the biggest, scariest thing ever. Can you do that entire creature and it be?
Yeah, good point. I mean, he's going for more of the Lovecraftian sort of vibe, I guess, where you can't really describe it. You can't really show it, maybe.
Only its arm. Yeah. Describe its arm.
Yeah.
It's like those blind guys and the elephant in that story. Someone might know what its leg looks like, but we just get the arm.
Yeah. So Satan's coming through. Oh, and then Catherine.
We mostly refer to her by her last name that begins with D, right? It is Catherine, I think.
Danforth. Okay,
Danforth, yeah.
Yeah.
So she go on. she kind of sees that everyone else is occupied wrestling the different Satans, right?
Yeah. So she rugby tackles Satan plus hand back into the mirror.
Could she not have just pushed her in? Did she have to go as well? And then Donald Pleasence does like a throws the axe. One-handed.
He says a bit of a prayer, doesn't he? Like says, "Amen."
Yeah, aiming. He said, aiming for the mirror.
Aiming for the mirror. That was a good throw. And Mustache Man is devastated at this point, which can't blame him.
And he would be, because as you can see, I don't think it's Catherine's intention that she was going to be trapped in the mirror dimension forever, because you see inside the mirror dimension she's trying to get back, right?
Yeah, we see her
reaching back.
And also the mirror dimension just looks like being underwater but dark. I don't think she's going to survive. She'll be dead before long. Also, I mean, who knows? I would like to see a sequel based all around her swimming around in the darkness.
Where bloody am I? After all this
she tries to do original like Avengers, doesn't she? At the end, where Iron Man's gone through that little vortex, she's thinking, I'm going to go in here, blow him up, and then I'll come back. She obviously had a tacky-on message from the future about the ending to that film as well.
And also, the future. Donald Pleasence was just too quick to smash the mirror. Just give me a second to get back out. Smash. Yeah. Too late.
Yeah, you could be ready to smash it, and then if you see anything other than me, smash. But no, he doesn't. He doesn't waste any time.
No,
He smashes it. All
It is the
Satan's-
apocalypse. It's one life against
Yeah,
7 billion or whatever.
We know where Luke would stand on that. Smash the mirror straight away. If one of us went in there, smash immediately.
Right.
Even now, like there's no Satan situation going on. Just get it smashed.
Just
Should we-
get it smashed.
Should we establish this now, guys? If the three of us ever find ourselves in this situation, I'm asking you now. Give me a second just to see if I can get back out.
Yeah,
Well,
a
I would-
second.
I would
1
rather
second.
you guys, if we agree between us that if we find ourselves in a situation, rather than jumping into the thing head first, we aim for the
Sure.
drop kick instead.
Yeah,
Just
it's good.
jump forward, the legs forward, maybe a flying kick if you're amenable to.
Or if all three of us
Oh.
could do it, I'm sure all three of us could pick her up and sling her straight in.
I would have
Yeah.
grabbed her and done an Irish whip, span around a couple of times to get some momentum, and then chucked her back in.
Got her straight in. Use her
Oh,
own
yeah.
momentum against her.
Or
Yeah.
rather than doing prayers, you could have done the prayers maybe, and then someone else can crawl behind her, and then someone just shoves her into the mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah, classic schoolboy trick.
Classic.
Um,
Yeah. So after
so-
the mirrors, all the possessed people die. The street people just wander away. So obviously, I'm assuming they're not fully possessed because they didn't die. So they're
and all the
and-
ants probably go back to normal, but we don't see what they're
Back
up
to
to.
their jobs.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
feel
basically,
bad for those
everyone.
people who don't die though. Like the people who are possessed get killed. Or the ones that got ooze died, right? But
Yeah.
not all of them had an injury that would have killed them. So obviously the man that turned into bugs would have been dead anyway. But what about and the guys that got choked out the windows would have been dead. But what about like the professor that got all those apples and did the trumpeting
yeah.
noise? All he did was got spat in. Nothing would
Yeah.
have killed him. He just went, "No, sorry, possessed, dead."
Possessed, mate.
Yeah.
Don't ask me. Definitely possessed.
We get some not post credits, but like a end film scare with Bruce, and he's sort of dreaming of he gets the dream with the videotape, the Joe Rogan podcast, and then he wakes up and Catherine's sleeping next to him, but she's
Well, she's like
Satan.
in the dream. She's the part of Satan, the figure that they saw
Ah.
before. But this
Yeah,
he
it's
zooms
not
in, is-
it's not the spooky. Is it that always what it was, or has it changed so it's no longer
I
a
think
shadowy
it's
figure?
changed. I think it's
And it's-
changed. So before it definitely wasn't her.
Yeah.
Oh, you couldn't really tell what it was, but it definitely wasn't her because from this point it's obvious it's her before it even zooms in on her. To be fair.
Yeah, and that's the strange thing. Though now, especially looking back, so if that message is from the future, the warning they're giving that in 1999, a woman who very, very distinctly looks like she's from the late 1980s will come out as Satan to destroy
Very
the
terrifying.
world.
Very terrifying.
yeah. We get the ending shot of him looking at the mirror.
You give it a little
Um,
touch.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just obviously a moment where he's like, maybe I could go in there or she should come out. Who knows?
We see him walk into it, just hits his face right into it. So I've got one name game and then some trivia. It's very difficult to name game this one. I spent
I
like 5-10 minutes on it, and it was very difficult. So the first one, okay, so bit of name game. It's a film about a priest who went for a long run, but he didn't stretch properly, so he gets like really bad pain in his lower legs, just above his feet. And it turns out that the real bad pain in the lower legs was actually prophesized to indicate the rebirth of Satan. I think you might have to be a runner to.
The shin splints of darkness.
Correct. Yeah.
Damn shin splints.
That was as good as I could not get any more name game out of this one. Maybe you guys at home can try one. Or Andy,
I can do you one, Luke. So
Yeah.
There is a priest who has terrible bad breath, so he employs Victor Wong to help get a sugar-free sweet that can freshen
Oh,
his breath.
God.
Unfortunately, upon eating them, Satan comes out of his mouth.
Mints
Wait.
of Darkness.
That's right, the Mints of Darkness.
Okay, I've got another one. So there was a guy born and raised in West Philadelphia, and then he gets a taxi ride to Darkness.
Is it the Fresh Prince of Darkness?
Fresh Prince
Correct.
of
Yeah.
Darkness. Okay, I think I've got one.
Go on.
Upon the reveal of a giant green vat of ooze, everyone who seems to come closer to it doesn't actually become possessed, but they just close their eyes and turn their head away quickly.
Squints of Darkness.
Oh, the Wints of Darkness.
Oh, Wints.
The wince of darkness, but squints of darkness also works.
There's this other one actually I saw. It's about a priest who is going about his business, and he accidentally does a silent but deadly fart, and that is prophesied as the rebirth of Satan himself.
Squits of darkness.
The Squints of Darkness.
No, he doesn't follow through.
That's key. That's key to this plot, all right? He does
Just
not
the
follow
smell. Just the smell.
Oh.
Is this a colloquial term for
Yeah.
for
This is
farts
a-
that
it's
you've
original
got
thing.
No, the stinks of darkness.
Stinks of Darkness. I got one more for you. So there is a businessman who owns an entire wrestling franchise. But actually, in his latest signing of talent, it turns out to actually be Satan in an ooze form.
Is it
Who-
the Vince?
It is the
McMahon?
Vince of Darkness.
Okay, I got one.
Okay.
While Satan's gathering all of his ingredients to make a shepherd's pie, he's got potatoes, he's got carrots, he's got onions, but there's one thing missing, and he needs to possess the owner of a butcher in order to get hold of it.
Could it be the Mints of Darkness?
It's the mints of darkness. That's correct.
Okay.
So we had more than we thought.
Yeah. I should have spent a bit longer on it.
Sorry.
Okay, so I've got some actual trivia though. Number one, why was
Serious.
Alice Cooper so good at that bike stabbing?
He stabbed a boy with a bike when he was at school.
Um,
The
go
keen
on, Ben.
cyclist. And he's a keen
okay.
cyclist, and he knows how to handle a bike.
Well, Alice Cooper used the bike impalement trick in his stage shows prior to this movie. The bike he uses was his own personal prop.
All right.
Just held him up.
They were like, "Can I get a bike? Can I get a bike trick in there as well?" He's like, "I don't think it's really key to the film."
I've got it with me.
Alice. I've got it with me. Come on, I'll do it right now. I'll
Yeah.
do it right now. Do it on you.
If you don't let me do it, you're going to get biked.
So next one. Who is credited as the screenwriter of the film?
Something tells me it's John. It's someone using a pseudonym, John Carpenter under a fake name, but I couldn't say what it was.
I can't remember what it is now, but it was something like I was gonna say Quartermain, but that's the guy from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
No, you're right.
Quatermass.
It's quarter is it like a Quatermass?
It's
yeah.
Martin Quatermass. Is a nod to the Hammer movies, the
Quatermass in the Pit.
experiment. Yeah, Quatermass in the Pit as well.
When
Yeah.
that popped up on the credits, I was like,
Isn't
Well, now you know.
Quatermass got an ooze? Is the Quatermass films? Have they got an ooze in them? Maybe
I'm
that's
not
the
too
right.
sure. There is actually one that's a bit of a news. I think it kind of possesses. I think that is the one where a rocket goes to space and the astronauts come back, but they've. I think is it
It's
X?
got a bloody venom in it again, hasn't it? Jeez.
I think that's X the Unknown, and it's got like a blob creature in it. It is like a Venom. It is the Venom film. Yeah. Okay. Next one. When Etchison is killed by the homeless people, what Alice Cooper song was he listening to?
"Oh,
It's quite faint. I noticed.
It's not poison.
Poison." Most obvious, famous.
Is
Alice
it
Cooper
Poison
song.
or Schools Out?
It's neither of those.
It's actually the Prince of Darkness. That's what the song's called.
Okay.
I don't know if that's
Was
where
that
the
made
film gets its name.
Specifically for the was that made specifically for the film? Do we know or not?
I don't know. But so Alice Cooper, I think, had a large part in producing the film, or his company financed it or something. There's some,
Oh, okay. That's
yeah,
pretty interesting.
worth looking into a bit deeper. But yeah, we need to rate the film.
Interested. Do you want to go first, Andy?
Pressure's on. It's so hard. It's so hard to pick because I know we've had some bloody fun with talking about it, but there are some great things. And be serious for a minute here. Like I like the fusion of the religious elements and then the science elements. It perhaps shows its age a bit, and like we said at the top, I think it maybe lacks some really killer visuals that make things like the Thing, and as we will find out in the future, the Mouth/Mind of Madnesses, that really make those ones stand out. But there's some potential there, and there's something about this, despite the other aspects that do give it some compelling elements. It does show its age a bit in terms of the pacing, and I think just some of the effects that are used and just the contrivances of the age of the scientists and all that other stuff, which make it maybe fall a little short. But I'm still not going to say this is a bad movie. I'm going to give this maybe a C minus.
Ooh.
Well, I'm saying it in that voice, so
C
I think it
With a
could
question
depend
mark.
on. I think it could depend on your mood. Equally, if you had more of a history with it, it could go higher. But you might just watch it fresh as a Thing today and be expecting the Thing, and it would fall short of those expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the identity of the film, I think, where it gets a little bit lost for me. It's almost like I'm not quite sure whether it should be one thing or another. And even though we got all the classic, it's got the classic Carpenter flavor. A lot of the classic, obviously the music's great. The sense of dread is there. I just think it gets a bit bogged down sometimes. It's a bit slow. I don't really. I mean, some of the characters are interesting enough, but I don't know if I'm like Donald Pleasence doesn't seem as strong a character as he does in the Halloween movies, for example. There's no one to really get behind, I feel like, in the battle against the Green Ooze and Satan, and needed a bit more Alice Cooper, just a couple of little bits more. Some.
I think an
in
ooze
fact,
is a hard enemy to really go
underused.
against as well, right?
Yeah.
I think so. But that being said, it's not my favorite John Carpenter movie by a long stretch, so I'll probably go for a C. I was gonna say C plus, but I might just go for a C on this one.
Cool. So this is the second time fairly recently I've seen it. I do agree it's definitely not. I mean, when I think of John Carpenter films, this is like second tier. Like it's not on that top tier. It's not on God tier, which is like where the Thing kind of lives most on its own. I think in the Apocalypse trilogy, I think we're gonna have more fun. Well, maybe not, but in terms of the experience of watching the film, we're gonna have more fun with Sam Neill, even in the Ears of Madness or whatever that film's called.
In the ears, eyes, nose, and face.
In the nostrils of madness. I am gonna go for a C plus because I think it's very well made, very intentional, and I feel like I'm not quite understanding some of it, so I can't go too low because I'm sure there's something that's just going over my head in the plot.
I feel the same. There are definitely a few bits, even a few bits when we're discussing it now, a few things that you've mentioned, Andy, where I've gone, maybe I kind of, that slipped through the net for me a little bit, but that's just me and
there's some depth there for sure. Although the ultimate test of the characters and how much you engage with them. No one look at your notes, eyes where I can see them. What's the name of the radiographer?
Suzanne.
Oh, you remembered her.
Only because
I don't know if I got it.
Only because we've said it many a time this evening.
And is Lisa Asian or not?
I'm not going to get into that. What is it?
I'd say yes. And
I
feel like Walter was just being an asshole for some reason.
That makes more sense to me. Him being an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I forgot.
Yeah.
What we do next? Okay, yeah. What are we doing next week? Are we doing Psycho Gorman?
So I think we're going to do Psycho Gorman. So another new release on the podcast. I think we said we're going to do a few more of them.
Out
Hot off the
last week or
press.
so?
Did I read that it was made by the guys who made The Void?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
I
what I
don't know if
read.
that's a good thing or not.
So
Have you seen The
The
Void?
trailer looks great.
Yes, we've seen The Void.
No, we've done an episode, but Andy, have you seen The Void?
Yeah.
I've not seen The Void. I listened to your episode before I got around to watch it because that had a weird release as well, right? It was on VOD for a while before you could pick it up anywhere else because if you didn't see it at the festival circuit.
Yeah.
I'd heard your guys' description of that lady being turned into the garden centre, and I haven't rushed to watch it yet because I know that I think didn't leave you guys feeling a little bit hollow versus.
It was a bit underwhelming. Yeah, it was a bit underwhelming.
In my mind, the effects are pretty cool. The aesthetic is very good, very cool.
Yeah.
But I don't remember it being a particularly good story.
I think it was.
I can't remember.
Right.
But
should be
Psycho
interesting
Gorman,
episode.
though, it looks quite silly. I mean, I know we don't usually go for silly stuff. Obviously, we run a very serious operation here, so a little bit of a different episode to enjoy next week.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. Should be fun.
Yeah, cool. So feel free to follow us on Twitter. Andy is at. You changed it, so it's
it's Andy CT Writes these days.
Andy CT Writes. Ben is at Ben_. At Ben Errington. Just all one word.
Ben_Errington.
Oh, you
No, you should
I thought I was jokingly getting it wrong. Okay.
Happens to the best of us.
At Ben_Errington. And I'm at Luke of Condor with a K. Come to the Facebook group. You will be introduced to some cracking chaps and some cracking ladies. That sounds so dodgy. Some good people, is what I'm trying to say.
Now you're cancelled like Walter.
Oh, no.
Any number of the people may or may not pass as Asian, depending on.
Okay, I need to get out of the situation quickly. Thanks to Acast and show. Thanks to the listeners. Maybe rate and review on iTunes. And
That'd be nice,
thanks
wouldn't it?
to you guys for being right horror dudes. Next time I'll read out some reviews. I don't think I've ever read them out on the show before.
There's
not
nice
many.
ones.
Not many.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, it'll take a couple of minutes.
If you write a new one, we'll read them out especially.
Yeah.
If it's a 5-star one, we'll read you out in a cool voice. But if it's less, we'll read you out in a voice that makes you sound stupid.
Oh, this person said blah 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 blah. I'm a stupid dick and my butt is big and my butt smells. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.